Need to address the two biggest threats head on, the lies about voter fraud and lies about escalating violence. They think that voter fraud is virtually non-existent, and if you're talking about it, it's a conspiracy theory. Never mind that it's actually already been happening.
There were ballots, because Nevada mass mailed them out to voter rolls, that were piling up in apartment complexes, outside of apartment complexes in Las Vegas, sitting around in trash cans. This is how we're protecting ballots. It's extraordinary. Postal workers, one 36-year veteran carrier said she's never seen anything like these influx of absentee ballots.
The left and the media says that there's no fraud. True or false?
That is completely false. Anybody who's pushing all-mail election, I think, doesn't realize the inherent security vulnerabilities of absentee ballots or all-mail elections, because you're basically taking the election process outside of polling places that are supervised.
Mail-in ballots for South Carolina turned up in Maryland. There's another example of 700 suspicious mail-in ballots in Dallas and an individual charged with second-degree felony illegal voting.
They say that this is how Trump will mobilize his base to action should he lose. They also say that the potential for violent conflict is high, particularly since Trump encourages his supporters to take up arms. That's cute. See, we do that all on our own. There's no encouragement needed. Let's talk about the other lie of escalating violence. Look, lefties, I know that y'all think we're a bunch of white supremacists, non-educated hicks, but we do have eyeballs. We can see escalating violence and we know where it's coming from. The authors of the report also want us to know that they aren't trying to frighten anyone, but rather spur all stakeholders to action. They go on to say that they basically want elected officials, civil society leaders, the press, and people to challenge Trump's authoritarian actions in the courts, in the media, and in the streets through peaceful protest. Peaceful protest. Lefties, I do not think that word means what you think it means. So we know that anti-Trump groups have a tendency to resort to violence, but in the report they will claim that it is the pro-Trump protesters that will be causing any civil unrest after election night. They will blame violence on us. Remember that. Everything that the left does wrong, the violence, the cheating, the lying, they will project those actions onto us like they already have been doing. Think Russian collusion. They keep claiming that that's what Trump does, but it's been made clear that the Clintons and the Bidens are actually the ones that have colluded with the Russians. Another interesting tidbit in the report, they said that social media in particular will play a heavy role in how the public perceives the outcome of the election. They say that big tech's company policies and enforcement decisions will be consequential. Basically, they're encouraging all big tech and social media to censor conservatives. There recently has been a ton of conservative pages being permanently banned and shadow banned across all big social media platforms, so expect that to get worse in the coming days and through November and beyond. I do not expect this video to stay up long, so it will be on my website if you need to share it or reference it in the future. The TIP report also says that what happens before Election Day will to a large extent determine the margin of contestation, or how many people will contest the results. So let's talk about polling numbers. Do you ever hear that Biden is ahead in the polls despite not being able to get a fraction of the people that President Trump gets at his rallies? Or he can't even complete a coherent sentence. The Black, Latino, and gay communities are leaving the left by the thousands, but somehow Biden keeps climbing in his popularity and his polling numbers. The polling numbers are twisted, manipulated, and flat-out lies to make you think that he actually has a chance at winning. And that way, when all the mail-in ballots come in and he wins the popular vote by fraud, you'll think that it wasn't so far off because the polls did say he could win. Reality says different. Remember that. Alright, so I finished writing the script and then went on YouTube to relax and saw that Glenn Beck had also just done a video on this report as well. And thank goodness, because this information needs to be shouted from the rooftops. So please watch his video as well for a more in-depth perspective. He's got a whole team to do research, so he knows like the authors of it, their ties to Soros, the whole history of the movement and everything. And please also print out the report. Do an internet search for the Transition Integrity Project. You will be able to find it, or if they take it down, I think Glenn Beck might have a link on his page as well. The first 2 pages alone will blow your mind, and the whole report will tell you what's coming. This is huge. Sorry for the random noise in the background, but for the first time, I don't know, in like 3 years, my neighbors have decided to throw rocks into metal trash cans, burn bamboo, and yell at each other. So, yeah. I'm going to leave you with this closing quote from the report that is specific to you and I. More broadly, there needs to be a robust, intentional, and specific strategy to challenge the white supremacist and extremist networks that enable Trump's rise to power. This base will not automatically demobilize if and when Trump leaves office, and it is hostile to the kind of pluralist democracy the founders intended. So they're saying that we're a problem and we need to be challenged. So you want to challenge this base? Well, we're not white supremacists or extremists, but to the authors of the Transition Integrity Project report, and on behalf of the patriots of the United States, challenge accepted.